This comes from the lead UN investigator who tells me North Korea is still conducting prohibited activities that allow them to buy millions of barrels of oil. Hugh Griffiths is the head of the UN panel of experts, which his team are tasked with monitoring compliance of UN sanctions imposed on North Korea in an effort to get them to abandon their nuclear weapons program. And Griffiths says his team has discovered in the last few weeks and months North Korea is still conducting prohibited ship-to-ship transfers of oil and petroleum products out at sea. Take a look at this overhead surveillance photo. Across the top, you're going to see a smaller ship pulling up to a much larger ship transferring petroleum products. The panels below show details of the ships involved. The investigators say the North Koreans have painted over the names of their ship, changed the identification number, and labeled it with a false port of registry. Griffiths says the North Koreans and their trading partners are also turning off their automatic identification system, AIS signal. It's a maritime version of GPS.
In every case of illicit North Korean petroleum diversion that we've seen, the vessels switch off their AIS just before they meet at sea, meaning that they cannot be tracked any longer. So that's an immediate risk indicator. If a vessel switches off its AIS at sea, there is a heightened risk that it's doing something clandestine or illegal.
The investigators say there is a fix for this. Insurance companies and trading companies can insert a clause in their contracts which says if you turn off the AIS, the contract is null and void. We're going to have a lot more on Power Lunch later today, including talking about one of the companies that's complying.
So the only reason you would turn off your AIS is to try and be stealth and not be tracked, and in which case we can assume that you are doing something illicit.
So there's one situation where they think it's okay. Gulf of Aden, when you're trying to avoid Somali pirates.
Got it.
That's it. That is not this. This is East Asian waters, much further away. Yes, they think it is a key signal that illicit activity is going on when it's turned off for days at a time.
What happens when they're so sure that this is happening? Who do they report it to? What do they do? How does this work into any potential talks coming?
So the way the UN panel of experts works, they put out a report every 6 months. I've come on your show to talk about it, and they go through where there have been violations, and then they report on them. If there are companies or countries involved, they get listed in that report. They're outed, essentially, and it puts international pressure on them to try to comply with the sanctions because they've been so publicly named.
But this is a much more important time as we are heading into these talks.
Sure.
How does that kind of get run up the flagpole? And
sure. So this would be a time where the U.S. is still trying to do maximum pressure. Now, this is the UN, not the U.S. Right. And what they've done, what Hugh Griffiths has done in the last week is sent out letters to all the major international trading companies and also reinsurance brokers primarily domiciled in the UK saying, can you put these clauses in your contracts? Get back to me, because they're going to update in their next report what the response was from these industries and these companies specifically.
Right.
Okay. You good with that?
No. Is this really widespread, do you think, at this point? How many companies?
Oh, okay. So they think there are at least 30 ships out there right now that they're monitoring. They think there has been millions of dollars worth of transfers in the last several months. They found one network that, if all had been completed, there would have been 12 ship-to-ship transfers worth $100 million. There are many, many companies involved in the distribution chain. Remember how we talk about the pharmaceutical chain? No different than when you're distributing oil, right? So they want to go to the choke points. They go to the international trading companies and the insurance brokers that are leveraged to the West that have to comply with sanctions, or else they will be punished financially, and that's why they would comply.
I mean, your embargo is only as good as well as it can be enforced.
Exactly.
Keeping these things out. If you really want to put maximum pressure and get them to the bargaining table, you can only do that if you have a secure embargo.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.